Okay, Ireland have lost to France 13 points to 15 at home in Dublin. First time in the Six Nations era, the first time since 2000 they've lost the first two games of the tournament. The last time they did this was when it was the Five Nations and they lost all four of their games. So, yeah, it's been a good old 20 plus years since Ireland have lost the back-to-back opening fixtures in the tournament. France, well, they're not at their best. Their two tries are absolutely brilliant. Ireland couldn't take advantage of the yellow card. And while Ireland, I would say, won the second half, they were chasing the game after half time. So, first half, Ireland started on the front foot, majority of the possession. France struggling under the high ball. Dumoulin at fullback had a few nervy moments. Billy Byrne slots the penalty on 20 minutes. 3 minutes later, Leroux is yellow carded for a trip on Keith Earls. Then the Josh Lowe try is disallowed. Rightly so, his foot does go in a touch just. It's an amazing piece of tackling to put him in a touch before he touches the ball down. It's the correct decision. But that was, I think, the highlight of Ireland's play in the first half. They couldn't take advantage of France being down to 14 men. And they look weaker without Sexton at fly half. Billy Burns, he went off with a head knock. And Ross Byrne replaces him. Ross Byrne looks the better fly half out of the depth fly halves that Ireland have below Johnny Sexton. Missed a horrible shank from a penalty as well. Ireland left points on the field, and that will be frustrating. On the French side of things, they respond to being down to 14 men by Oliven's try, which is the ultimate team try. Props to fullbacks, offloading all over the place. Olivin has got a good strike record as a try scorer for France. He ends up in the wing channel. They end up with an overlap. They're down to 14 men. Something's gone a bit wrong there if you're a man up and somehow you're short on your fringe defence and there's an overlap with the team against you, down 14 men against 15 with an overlap. Yes, the French were offloading like it was just, second nature. That was their best attack of the first half. They're down to 14 men. Jalibert converts. He also slots a penalty just before half-time as well. It's 10-3 at half-time. Ireland have had the majority of the possession, bearing in mind France only had one decent attack. And their line-out is misfiring, yet they're ahead. And this is the thing, the French are defending really, really well. Yeah, the low disallowed try, crikey, it's a brief second his foot is in touch. That could have been a different story if that try stands. But the French were feeding off scraps, and the one decent attack they have, I won't say decent attack, but they string phases together, they rip the Irish to pieces, minus a man. Second half, Panot's try is very off a scrum, through the hands, multiple phases. I'm that final pass as well from Dumoulin to Penot is cheeky little backhand out the back of the hand there. They've targeted the fact that there's some front row forwards in the wide channel in defence because of the points of attack they're thrusting from. It's a very good try. The conversion didn't go over, which I think has nearly cost France. Now, the Kelleher try a few seconds later, literally 120 seconds, 2 minutes, comes from a disruptive Ireland line-out. The bounce of the ball is a freak bounce of the ball, and it ends up in the hooker's hands. He's been on the pitch a matter of moments. And he barges over for his try. When I say he goes down the channel, he flattens the winger, breaks the tackle, and goes over. That got Ireland back in the game, but it's a freak moment because their line-out has been disrupted by the French. Ross Byrne converts. He also slots a penalty on 65 minutes. That's the scoring done. After that, it was a more scrappy, feisty game with the French having more ball in hand. And Ireland, didn't look like they were going to threaten the French line again. The Irish have more of the ball in the game. And they lose. So things are going wrong. Some of the depth players, I don't think, are quite at the same standard as the starters. It shows how key Sexton is to this side. I think Ross Byrne is the better of the two fly halves that have come in to replace Sexton. Billy Byrne's not good enough. His confidence has been badly shaken from last week, and this week he didn't have the best of games either and ended up going off with a concussion. I think they should go with Ross Byrne in the next game. Ireland look better with Ross Byrne on the field than Billy Burns. On the French side of things, discipline nearly cost them in the first half, but it proves that They don't need a lot of ball. Like against Italy, they didn't have as much ball in the first half or periods of the second half, and they won the game because their handling skills from the number one, the loose head or tight head prop, all the way to the fullback are scary. They're willing to throw offloads. They are willing to have support runners. They're in their attack. Apart from set plays, their attack is. I think the coaches have said, just go with what you see. Go what's in front of you. Play with some flair. Play with some confidence. Play without restriction. Because this is the France of old. This is the France of the 90s that I grew up watching and really enjoyed watching. They weren't at their best today. They didn't have to be. Ireland was scrappy. They stuck in the game. But scrappy and sticking in the game has only got them 2 losing bonus points. I don't know what else to say to that. Their line-out was pretty good today. Their scrum was pretty good today. But they were scrappy, and that was keeping them in the game, was fighting at breakdowns, being scrappy. But the French defence, it's a Sean Edwards defence. It's in your face. They didn't have a lot of time when they had the ball to make the line breaks and to gain ground because they had just been driven back in tackles. And they're having to fight on the floor. Both sides was scrappy at the breakdown. Ireland, I think this is a team that is now, I think, has peaked and they need more fresh blood. But also, they're going to have to take some hard lessons to get that those fresh faces up to the speed of the Irish system. I like what Ross Byrne did in the game when he came on. Billy Burns, I'm not sold on as an international fly half, at least not at the moment. He needs. He's obviously showing something in training. I'm not saying he's a bad player, but his confidence is really shaken. He's a talented player. Sure, there's a reason why he's been selected. But in the 2 games, in the limited time he's had in these 2 games, he doesn't look confident. And that's a problem for a fly half. Yes, they've got injuries in the pack. Yes, they've got suspensions. Ian Henderson was captain today. But I think this Irish side, I think they need to have a reset. They need to possibly stop selecting players on what they've done previously and start selecting players on what is happening right now for form. On the French side of things, they're now winning ugly. In years past, if they didn't have as much possession, they're shipping points. They now have learned how to win ugly. Last week, they played themselves into the game with counter-attack rugby. Once they got into their groove, they would just throw the ball around for fun. This week, they had to hold on by the end, but they now have proven they can win ugly. That is scary for future weeks, for the next 3 games, that this French side weren't at their best today, won ugly, held on, and kept their nerve in the last 10 minutes when in previous years there would have been a yellow card in there, too many penalties, a kick at goal or something. They would have given away a soft try at the end. It's not the French team of a couple of years ago that was in the slump. This is a French team that has confidence in their defence. And on scraps in attack, they've scored 2 brilliant tries. One of them from a set play, and the other one just throwing the ball around for fun. They get the ball, and then everyone's involved. The handling skills on a wet pitch with changeable conditions, with rain and then sunshine, slippery surface, slippery ball, was brilliant. So this is a team that can win ugly and with confidence. Ireland, back to the drawing board. They might have to change some of the players in the squad. They might have to bring other players into the camp. We'll have to wait and see. But I'm not sold on Billy Burns right now as a test fly half. Ross Byrne, if Sexton's out in the next game, should be the starter at 10. Some other, Lowe, pretty solid on the wing. Keith Earls had a good game. But a lot of possession, couldn't do much with it. Scrappy game. An Ireland team that's clearly had their confidence knocked in the first 2 weeks. A French team that can now win ugly as well as with style, and their tries were brilliant. So there we go. I don't know where Ireland go from here, but they got the 2 losing bonus points, which will prove crucial. France, they didn't get the bonus point win today, but I don't think that's going to matter at this current moment. However, they could rue some of those missed kicks, and they could rue not maybe twisting the screw once they got that second try. They could have had Ireland on the rack until they conceded that try. As soon as Ireland scored that try, the momentum swung a little bit. If Ireland don't score that try and they actually successfully disrupt that line out, France could have turned the screw. But we'll see what happens in the coming weeks. We've got a rest week coming up. So thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts below, and I'll have some more videos for you very, very soon.